We're here today interviewing Alternative Youth Publishing author Frederick Bell. Fred, nice to see you.
Thanks. Nice to see you.
Fred has a debut sci-fi novel out called The Battle for Tomorrow, and we're here to find out about that and Fred's writing history and his ideas about science fiction and writing and life. I mean, all the things that are in the book. Because I noticed the book has a really unique point of view in many ways. Like, one of the things that happens in The Battle for Tomorrow is this reversal between men and women.
Mm-hmm.
When the women are the soldiers, the bulked up people, and the men are soft and have had a whole movement to gain respect and recognition. And I'm just interested in how that came to you. It's such an interesting turnaround of our own society. But that's one of the great things about sci-fi, is that you get to take an idea
Right.
and imagine a different society.
Well, I think in this case it was, I find, I kind of looked at our culture, I guess, our world in terms of, what we've done. And I think, we tend to see it in terms of male. It's a male world.
Dominated.
And I think that we look at the things in the world, like war, particularly war, and we see that it's completely dominated by males. We see, our government, our entire infrastructure is dominated by males. I think the reason I took that and turned it around was just simply because it's sort of providing a viewpoint where the reader can kind of, look at it and go, because it's different, and you look at it and
it's different, but it's very convincing in the book that
Right.
you sort of buy into it. Yeah.
And, so it's sort of, if I had presented them as males being dominated as opposed to females, you wouldn't see that.
It would be a totally different book with that, right?
Right. I mean, because, you kind of look at it like, if I know when we were talking about last night was,
Yeah.
you have to take a simple idea, because it's really, it's the simpleness, the thing that makes it unique. And if you can just find that twist, it kind of stands out, because when you do read it, it's like, oh, the women are, are the powerful.
I mean, that's what I found. That at first, when you read it, you say, "Wait a minute, what's going on?" And then slowly, you start to believe it, because it's all working that way. They're in charge. They're soldiers. There's some evil political characters doing all kinds of things. Part of the environment of the book is this culture has ruined their own planet, and now they're colonizing the new planet where
Right.
the egress live. And then there's all kinds of actually political things that happen as a result of the colonization.
Well, I think it's kind of like that part of it is like an old story where you're familiar with that. I think the reader has seen many versions of that, and so I wanted to make it at least slightly different in that sense. And I think the environmental aspect of it is sort of, well, it predominates the story. I mean, it makes it, so that it kind of, you're always trying to allude to here and now. We have a lot of environmental issues in the world. We have a lot of issues, surrounding war, famine, economic, environmental destruction. These are things that have been in our culture and our world for a very long time.
Well, and are these things you're interested in? I mean, are you an environmentalist? I mean, obviously you know a lot about plants. You've grown such a beautiful garden. Is that a big issue for you personally, environmentalism?
Well,
and the destruction?
I think in terms of if it's something that's going to affect me, and everyone around me, then yes, I think we should be interested. And I'm interested in it. I mean, I wouldn't call myself an environmentalist, but obviously I'm concerned when they go in and they raise tens of thousands of acres of forest, or polluting the ocean or the lakes or whatever that is.
Well, I know that you grew up in Canada, and I'm not sure if you saw any of that environmentalism or environmental destruction happening in Canada, or
Well, Canada's a really big country. I mean, but it has a very, like, the majority of the population is located within, 100 miles of the American border. So really, you're kind of, when you go north of that, you're out in the middle of nowhere. You're in the woods, so to speak. And
what was that like?
well, I mean, I was born in a place called Kapuskasing, which was a pulp and paper town, and it was up on the Trans-Canada Highway, way up north, and basically we wound up living in a village about 150 miles north of there, and the only way that you could get there was by Summer Road, which was a gravel road, so obviously it was closed in the wintertime. And wintertime,
150 miles on a gravel road?
yeah. Well,
In
no.
the summer.
I mean, it wasn't a straight path.
It wasn't
You had to
even-
go out. You had to go to Timmins and come around. So it was
Wow.
probably maybe about 250 miles that way. So the way they did it was they had a railway track,
Oh yeah.
and they had a yellow school bus. This is really weird. It was a regular school bus, and they put train wheels on for the for the bus's wheels. They took those off, put the train wheels on, and they had a little thing to haul the luggage. They hauled behind the bus. But I mean, I can remember they'd open up the door like in a bus. You'd climb in, get your seat, and they'd go to town. And that was how you basically, you didn't have any grocery stores. You didn't have any kind of stores. They were like maybe 15, 20 houses, and that was the village. And they every week or every 2 weeks they would get together a list of groceries, and someone would go into town and they would they'd go gather your groceries and bring your stuff in.